My name is Michael McGee, and I will be a Master of Ceremonies tonight. And I'm sure all of you are asking, why? Because I'm too afraid to tell Mr. Malagriffa no.
He can't even hear you.
I know. 2 months ago, I was sworn in as the new Chief of Police in Lynn. And Mal, who's been a friend and big supporter of mine, was at the ceremony. I was very appreciative of that. Not 3 days later, he managed to tunnel his way into the police station, get by the armed guards, and get up to my third-floor office. I knew I was doomed. You just don't say no to Mr. Malagriffa. But in all seriousness, I'm honored to be here tonight. I'm a proud graduate of Lynn Tech, and it's my opinion that other than my parents and other adults that were prominent in my life, any professional or personal success I have had was forged at Lynn Tech. From Coach Melanson, who reinforced the qualities of discipline and respect, to my graphic art teachers, Mr. McGuire, Mr. McGann, and Mr. Marino, who taught us to think, don't quit, and to strive for perfection. In fact, I'm forever grateful to my graphic arts instructors who discovered very early on that I had absolutely no mechanical skills whatsoever, and strongly encouraged me to find another way to make a living. It's true. My wife won't even let me have a toolbox. I've always thought that Lynn Tech recognized individuals who had drive and determination and a desire to make a difference. It is said, easy to sit up and take notice. What is difficult is standing up and taking action. Tonight, we are celebrating enthusiasm, commitment, and sheer hard work. Tonight, I feel very privileged to stand here in front of you and acknowledge the achievements of these individuals who have made both the school, their communities, and their families proud. I'm told this is the largest group we've ever had, so no more pressure on me than that. I'm not an eloquent speaker, but I will do my best to ensure that you enjoy your evening. To the new members of the Hall of Fame, please let me offer my congratulations. Some of you are classmates, some were friends, and others I have known and respected for years. I have read your accomplishments and achievements, and it's very clear to me why you are being recognized tonight. So with that said, let me first introduce Mr. Paul Crowley, who will be issuing some citations from Governor Baker's office.
Thank you, Chief. You know, before I get into the citation, a couple of things I wanted to point out. First of all, Mr. Malagriffa, as Chief McGarry pointed out, has always been quite a supporter of Lynn Tech. There's no doubt about that. Along with Mr. Conlon, I think the two of them sold like 250 of the 251 tickets or something. So, and by the way, when I was at Lynn Tech, Mr. Malagriffa was the basketball coach for the JV team. And if he did today what he did to me back then, he wouldn't be here right now. He'd be doing life. But it worked. I mean, you know, the little slap on the side of the head was helped out a lot. When he tied my left hand behind my back to make me learn to dribble with my right hand, you know, it's all right that I fell on my face a few times, right, Mal? But anyway, thanks, Mal. And you know, I want to say one other thing as well, if I can, and that is, you know, being in this room, being, you know, a Lynn Tech grad, being on the city council, and seeing all of the city councilors who are here tonight and who are actually in the Lynn Tech Hall of Fame reminds me of how significant a role Lynn Tech has made on this at the city level through the city council. I mean, let me think. I'm probably going to miss somebody. Peter Capano, Darren Cyr, council president, Rick Ford, Steve Duffy, Rick Starboard. Who else is in the room from Jay Walsh? Look at that. So we, you know, I think we have a quorum. Jay, we have a quorum. Yeah. All right, so anyway, my role was not to go off track like that. It was to send a greetings from the governor's office. He wasn't able to make it tonight due to other commitments, but his office did issue citations to the 13 Hall of Fame honorees tonight. So on behalf of the governor, I will read it. So on behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation in recognition of your induction in the 2017 Lynn Vocational Technical Institute Hall of Fame, this 6th day of May in the year 2017, and these are real signatures from Charles D. Baker and Karen E. Polito. So for all of you inductees, congratulations and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Paul. I just had a flashback again with Mr. Malagriffa. When I went to the school, I was the goalie on the hockey team. And we were pretty good, but not great. And Mal used to tell me all the time that this red mark here was from the red light going on. I was getting sunburned, so. I'd like to introduce Senator Tom McGee, who I believe has some citations from the state as well.
Thank you, Mike. It's great to be here. I do have citations signed by the 5 members of the Lynn delegation, and I'm only going to read it. I'm not going to name one person because, to be honest with you, many of the award winners tonight are close friends. Seeing the 1973 football team, I was a graduate in '73. I was at the prep, different place, but we watched that football team and we knew how great they were. And across the board, I think the people that are getting inducted tonight into the Lynn Tech Hall of Fame reflect what's best about Lynn Tech, but just as importantly, reflect what's best about the community of Lynn that we all live in, that we all love. And they really went on to, both in school and beyond school, reflected really the great things that Lynn Tech does for our community every day. And it couldn't be embodied more by Mr. Malagriffa, who has been living and breathing Lynn Tech, and really every year, every time that you talk to him, you know it's what he believes in. It's about making a difference in people's lives, and that happens every day at Lynn Tech. I want to congratulate every one of the award winners with your families. Enjoy the night, and again, reflect on what's best about our community. It's a great community, and we really do great things, and the schools in Lynn continue to do the best in the Commonwealth, in my opinion. So I'd like to read this resolution. It's be it hereby known that the Massachusetts Legislature offers its sincerest congratulations to all of the award winners tonight for your induction into the Lynn Vocational Technical Institute Hall of Fame. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for good fortune and continued success in all its endeavors. And it's given this 6th day of May 2017. I'm honored to sign as state senator from this district. Laurie Ehrlich, Donald Wong, Dan Cahill, and Brendan Creighton have all signed. Congratulations. Enjoy the night.
I guess it's Citations Day. The only good thing is I'm not handing out citations. So. I'd like to introduce Mr. John Kroll, who's representing the mayor this evening. John?
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to thank the Tech Alumni Association for their gracious invitation this evening and for all of their hard work and dedication organizing this great event. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be here tonight, not only to represent Mayor Kennedy's office, but also as an LVTI graduate of the class of '97. Congratulations to all of the 2017 Lynn Tech Hall of Fame inductees. It's an honor to be here amongst such distinguished alumni. And finally, to the members of the Lynn Tech faculty, past and present, thank you for what you do every day to inspire, educate, and innovate. Enjoy your evening. And lastly, before I forget, Mayor Kennedy did make citations for all of the Lynn Vocational Hall of Fame inductees. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you, John. Now I'd like to introduce Councilor Buzzy Barton with some more citations.
Usually the city council president hands out the citations, but he is one of the honorees today. From the Lynn City Council, let it be here known that the office of the Lynn City Council's offers their sincere congratulations to all the recipients today. you're inducted into the Lynn Vocational Technical Institute Hall of Fame. Sorry, I was a bulldog. I was a bulldog, all right? I'm sorry about that. The City Council acknowledge your accomplishment, dedication to the commitment, and overall excellent services as an inspiration to all to follow. On behalf of the Lynn City Council, good luck.
Thank you, Councilor Barton. This time, I'd like to introduce the principal of Lynn Tech, Bob Bontempo.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the faculty, students, and staff at Lynn Tech, I'd like to welcome and congratulate all of our inductees tonight. To me, it's also a celebration of Lynn Tech and what tech schools do and the role of Lynn Tech and tech schools in people's lives. Technical schools must continue to evolve if they are to meet the ever-changing needs of the workforce. Keeping up with such changes comes with quite a price tag. Running a quality technical programs requires continued investment. Governor Baker, his team, and the legislatures recognize the need to invest in schools, in tech schools, to reap a strong economy and a skilled Massachusetts workforce. Lynn Tech has recently received almost $400,000 from state capital workforce grants. $167,000 of those funds are being used to further enhance our machining program by replacing older equipment as well as adding new CNC machinery. By investing almost $750,000 recently in this program has and will continue to provide a strong pathway to highly skilled, high-wage jobs for both students and adults. We are also investing $75,000 of these funds to build a new EKG and phlebotomy lab and expanding our health tech program. This program will also offer adult training beginning this summer in partnership with Operation Bootstraps. The vision of opening a new Chapter 74 informational technology and networking program is becoming a reality with this same capital grant. The new program will offer many levels of Cisco industry training and certifications. Renovations and new equipment purchases are currently underway in an anticipated opening for the fall of 2017. We're very excited about this. We actually offered it to the new freshmen, a program that just was an empty room, and we filled it already. So great things happening moving forward at Lynn Tech. And by the way, I like to network here a little bit. I am looking for an IT and networking teacher, and it is on School Spring. We've launched a lot of careers in the technical area in this very way. I mean, myself and many of the tech teachers started in industry, and looking for a career change, you'll have a chance to affect thousands of lives. So please pass the word along. We're looking for someone to inspire some students. Finally, we have also a shovel-ready HVAC program when funds become available. So Lynn Tech is continuing to evolve to meet the demands of workforce, to put people to work. I'd like to thank the Alumni Association for their hard work and dedication for making this night and the celebration possible. I would also like to take this opportunity to personally thank Mr. Malagriffa, who 30 years ago this year gave me the opportunity to change my life and become a teacher. I would also like to thank and congratulate Mr. Joe O'Hagan for his friendship and his advice over the many years that I worked together with him. Thank you. And also to congratulate, again, another co-worker, Mr. Foster Ricciardi, for his friendship, longtime co-worker. Thank you. Congratulations to all the inductees tonight, and as we say, have a great Lynn Tech evening.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce the president of the Lynn Tech Alumni Association, a friend of mine, former teammate. I know he works really hard for this, Jim Wood.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say congratulations to each and every one of the inductees tonight. I have a personal connection with several of you. I'd like to go on and on and on and talk about you, but We don't want to do that. So, but there's one I do have to mention is my brother Kevin, who was part of the 73 football team. I'll be in big trouble if I don't. So he's way in the back up there somewhere. So I am unbelievably proud to be part of this. I mean, it's a testament to all the people we're inducting. Look at this crowd. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. And, you know, and Diana Badger back there is one of the key components of putting it together, as well as Mal. So, you know, she should get a big round of applause. I'd like to thank her personally. She's probably sold every ticket to every one of you. So you'll probably all talk to Diana Badger at some point. And Mal was, you know, I can't go without saying something about Mal as well. Mal knocking on people's doors, giving people noogies, right, Ricky Ford? Didn't he go down the Little River and give you one? Still, yeah, exactly. See? So he's still giving out noogies, and he's still doing some of the things that he did back over the years. So I couldn't go without saying something about Mr. Mal. And, you know, I challenge everybody here to pay back to the Lynn Tech. Lynn Tech's a wonderful school. Every single person here got a wealth of things out of it. You know, help us out in any way you can. You know, just be part of the things that we're sponsoring. You know, get sponsors for us. Just show up at the golf tournament. Show up at the, you know, the dinner afterwards or whatever. So that's all I have to say. Congratulations, everybody, and we'll get rolling.
Our first inductee, let me put my glasses on here, is Mr. Joseph O'Hagan, and Mr. Bart Conlon will be presenting on his behalf.
Well, good evening and congratulations to all of our 2017 inductees, and special congratulations to that undefeated football team. That was a great event, and it brought the whole city of Lynn together that time when you played that Swampscott game, and great crowd. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce Joe O'Hagan. I've known Joe for over 30 years while we worked together at Lynn Tech. Joe has worn many hats during his career, and his commitment to the school and vocational education is second to none, although he might have been tied by Mal. He always took his responsibilities very seriously, and he set high goals for himself and for the school. When I became the director, Joe was a logical choice for me to work together as VP and director. His extensive vocational experience on the local and the state level and my academic background enabled us to work together to enjoy the best, have our students enjoy the best of both worlds in a vocational school by preparing them for the world of work and continuing their education. Joe was chairman of the Lynn Youth Commission in his earlier years, and his philosophy was to keep young people out of trouble, and his commission developed many youth activities that are still in existence today. He's been a strong family man, married to the lovely Dottie for 48 years, and together they've raised 4 daughters, have 9 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. And with that, I'm honored to present my very good friend, Joe O'Hagan.
Good evening. Those that know me, I probably don't need a mic, but I'll try to tone it down a bit. Just make sure if you have your hearing aids in, you turn them off. Otherwise, I'll blow the cell right out of it. Like Bart said, I go back a long, long way. And Mal, where are you? Okay. There was a day many, many years ago that Mal came knocking on my door and asked me to go down and look at the old drafting shop. I walked in, I looked at it, I turned around, and I walked out. Well, Mal, being the gentleman that he is, never gave up, kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So finally, the second week in September, after school had already been opened, he came knocking on my door, and we lived around the corner from each other, enough that I could have put a round into a tube and dropped it down his chimney. Well, make the long story short, we spent many, many years together. If you seen Mal and I working together, you'd think we hated each other. We'd be in his office, and the screaming and yelling would be just ferocious. But the end result was that we both knew what we needed to do together, and we did that. Mal, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and thank you. To my family that's sitting over there, they sacrificed a lot. As Bart had said, that my devotion, my #1 job became Lynn Tech. And my family, many, many times, I put aside special occasions, be it a birthday, be it an anniversary. There would be something that came in the way, and that would have been Lynn Tech. The phone would have rang in the middle of the night, and some student would have had an issue. And the reason I'm bringing all this up right now is I'm looking out in the audience. I see some young people, and I see a lot of intelligent people that are out there that probably could get into the classroom and give back. I set a goal that would have been 5 years, and if I didn't like it, I was going back as an engineer. And again, it was a very successful career I had as an engineer. But you, as an individual, if you can remember the teachers that were in front of you, what they sacrificed. Yeah, the old days, there were some lockers that were being banged around. There was a few little lead pipes that were being hit over the head. All kinds of things that went on behind closed doors that nobody knew. The good old GI detail of going out and picking the dandelions stem by stem, chipping the ice because you decided to come to school late, or you decided to go tell the teacher what you were going to do. Those, maybe some of you remember, but I ask that you do the ultimate sacrifice, which is get into that classroom and give back. As Jim Ward had said, we as an association have a lot of intelligent people on our committees, but like the world, we are getting very old. Unfortunately, some of us will be around for a few years, and you turn around to the left and to the right, just like the military, and your buddy may not be there tomorrow. But you need to step up. As Jim Ward had said, you give back in many, many ways. The awards ceremony for graduates is coming up very shortly. If you've ever thought of putting together some money, whether it be you, be a group of yous, and giving out a scholarship, and it doesn't have to be large money, but you remember that first tool that you received and how proud you were when you walked onto that job site and you had your own tools and you didn't have to borrow somebody's. That's what these graduates need. I ask that you do that. I actually challenge you to do that. Again, thank you all. To the inductees, congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. O'Hagan. I got to tell you, you're a better man than me, because if you know my wife, if I missed an anniversary, I'd be in a lot of trouble. So, our next inductee is Frank Wolverton, and he's going to be presented by Rick Ford.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I'm so honored to introduce my friend of 50 years, Frank Wolverton. I can't help looking over at Buzzy. He doesn't read very well, but he's an excellent counselor. Frank and I grew up together. Frank spent his career in the service, serving people. He started out after GE, went in the Marine Corps. He did 2 tours in the Marines. He was an embassy guard. Just a great guy, good athlete, football and baseball at Lynn Tech. He's also being honored for the '73 team. excuse me, Frank and I were talking about Scott Hammerstrom and just everybody, all the big guys when we were sophomores, and what a beating they gave us running the second team offense. It was something else. That was a great group of guys, and we didn't see much action, but we enjoyed playing with them, and congratulations to the football team. Okay, back to Frank. After the Marine Corps, he went on to be a GE guard. Again, protected people, worked a short time at the GE, then he left for the Lynn Fire Department. He did a great job, and Buzzy, again, you can answer this one. I was told they watched a film at someone jumping from a ladder into a window, and then when they went up to Stone Tower, Frank actually jumped from the ladder into the little window of Stone Tower, and they said, Frank, that was on the video film, you didn't have to do that, so... So I thought that was something, just showing, you know, what kind of guy and courageous type guy he was. I had a few notes. He left Lynn Fire Department for the MBTA Police and served for 20 years on the MBTA Police and was promoted to the drill instructor. I hope I'm saying that right, Frank, but he led the academy for years and graduated over 1,000 people, 1,000 police officers. And times I've been over his house, it's amazing to walk in his room and see all the guns and swords and all the things that his classmates gave him out of respect for putting them through the academy and the awards that he received from his classes. It's really something. He became a detective also in the Transit Police Academy. One other quick story I want to tell is we both rode Harley Davidsons. We went out to a Super Bowl game, and every police officer was saluting him and moving the barriers, and we parked right on the field, and I said, Frank, what was that all about? And he said, I trained every one of those guys. So we got the best seats in the house. But I've known Frank for 50 years. He's just a great guy. He retired from there in 2013. He's currently a sergeant with the Northeast University Police Department and doing a great... So he's had over 30 years in law enforcement. And between his athleticism and the law enforcement, he's protected us, he's protected his country, and he's protected us as citizens, and he's taught a lot of other people their protection services, and he's just a great guy, and he's a great friend. And Frank, I hope you'll step up and I can give you your award. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for that excellent introduction, Rick. I really appreciate it. Again, Rick's been a loyal friend for over 50 years, and I really appreciate that. I want to thank Jim Ward and the Alumni Committee for choosing me, and I hope I'm a worthy candidate for this position. I really appreciate it. Lynn Tech was very good to me. I went to school there, and I met many teachers that were very good to me. I had coaches, Coach Conlon, Coach Carr, who were mentors to me, and I'll never forget our run as a state championship, how proud I was to be part of that team, and what a great representative Coach Conlon was as we went through the all through the Count Commonwealth and up to Western Massachusetts. What a fine gentleman and a really great mentor, and I really was a great one with that team. It was also great to be part of the 73 team. As Rick said, we were both sophomores, and we took a beating, and sometimes we get knocked down, and the worst word to hear again when Coach Carr would say, run it again. And but it was a great team, and I really was proud to be part of that. I think the best thing I did, since I wasn't a very good machinist, I went to the machine shop. I wasn't a good machinist, and I went down one day, I walked out of school one day and walked down to Union Street and joined the Marine Corps. And probably one of the best things I ever did. I served 6 years in the Marine Corps, and as Rick had said, I was chosen by my commanding officer to be an embassy guard, a very prestigious unit in the Marine Corps. I later, as Rick said, I went on to become a police officer and trained over 1,000 officers in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts at the Academy, and that's something I'm really proud of, and I've made many connections over the years, and it was been a good choice to do that as well. I just want to, I know there's a lot of people being inducted in that, so I'll keep this short. I just want to thank my wife for 36 years, Cindy, my son, Brian, appreciate that. And my sister-in-law, Carol actually came tonight. I appreciate her being here as well. And I just want to congratulate all the other inductees, and I'll get out of here so you can get up here and speak on your behalf. And I want to congratulate the 73 team especially. You guys are what a fantastic group of players, and just watching you guys as I was a sophomore, I enjoyed every single game, and I enjoyed the camaraderie in the team. Thank you.
Congratulations, Frank. A lifetime of service, well deserved. Our next recipient will be Mr. Jay Walsh. And now we're going to have to listen to Mr. Mel Griffer speak.
You know, in my 14 years as being assistant director at Lynn Tech, you get to know students pretty well. I got to know Jay very, very well. He used to visit my office once every 2 weeks. But the best part of that, I got to meet his mother once a month or so. And meeting Laurie was the pleasure of my life. John Walsh, known as Jay. Notice he has a tie on tonight because I said I wouldn't introduce him if we didn't have a tie on. Lynn Tech grad, 1999 of the plumbing program. Licensed plumber, former chairman of the Lynn Conservation Committee. GE employed, elected by his fellow employees as a shop steward. That's a success in itself. Vice President of local IUE, CWA, Local 201, elected 2015. Ward 7 City Council. I don't know how he stays home and take care of that lovely little girl he has there. He's very active. He kept the Christmas Eve parade going when Mr. Viger passed away, and prior to that he was the glue. They used to meet in the garage in back of Avon Street there and have Chinese food afterwards. So it was a good time to have, and I used to get free candy. He'd throw it in my face and he went by Den Quarry Road. He also is active with the school. We have the machine shop, and you'll hear a little about that later on this evening. We got new machines for the machine shop, and he got electricians from the GE to volunteer their time to come down there and wire the machines up for them. And anything we need at Lynn Tech, he's usually right there for. So he bleeds a little blue like me. Okay. Also with the Christmas Tree Festival, we had a little problem with the inspectional services, and the Walsh family stepped up to bat again for us. A shining example of all alumni, he assists the alumni board with all endeavors, some time of fundraising. I'd like to present to you one of my little, let's say, devils, Mr. Jay Walsh.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Mr. Mal. I always wasn't an angel, that's for sure. I think I've done a lot better now. I used to like to visit him on occasion, like he said. But, you know, this school has meant a lot to me. I think it'd be an understatement to say that, at least. You know, my dad, who's here tonight, John Walsh, he's an inductee to the Hall of Fame. He was a graduate of the school. My uncle here, Captain James Walsh, he's also a graduate of Lynn Tech. And I met my wife there in my junior year. We've been together since the day, you know, I met her in junior year. We have my daughter, Jayla, who's here, 7. So I think it's had a great influence on my life. I just want to thank everybody that's here, my family, my friends, my colleagues from Local 201, and the people from the council and colleagues that are there, and congratulate all the inductees tonight for being here. It's a great school, and much like Mr. O'Hagan was saying, you know, it needs the support out there. So we need people to step up and make it happen for the kids at the school. And go Tigers.
I'm constantly amazed at all these people that give back to the city and their community. Just another individual who does that. So congratulations, Jay. Donald Werner. Donald I've known for many, many years. I want to say since he was a little kid, but he's always been taller than me, so. And presenting for Donald is Sean Werner.
Good evening. I'm here to induct my brother Donnie. The news that my brother Donnie was getting inducted into the Lynn Tech Hall of Fame was awesome news for all of our family. My family has always regarded Don as an exceptional in many areas, especially athletics. His passion for sports in general cannot be matched. Don in high school captain and was conference all-star in both basketball and football. After high school, Don served in the Army with the 82nd Airborne Division Rapid Deployment Unit. Upon discharge, he met his wife, Sandra, and started a family. While raising his two children, Don played and coached and was an all-star semi-pro football player. Along with our late brother John, creating a new team in Lynn, playing in the New England Football League called the Mass Havoc. The Havoc would go on to win back-to-back championships using Lynn Tech's McManus Field for its home games. Those teams would go on to get a national ranking amongst the best in the country. Immediately after playing career was over, Don continued his passion for sports and started officiating high school football, where he continues to excel. He has worked many playoff games, including televised high school Super Bowls at Gillette Stadium. He has worked at Lynn Housing for nearly 18 years, helping Lynn residents with rehab projects on their homes. He's definitely been a pillar of the community. Of all of Don's past achievements, there were none greater than when he donated his kidney to our father. This act of love was the most inspirational and selfless thing I've ever witnessed. This act extended our father's life for nearly 4 years, allowing him to enjoy many more celebrations and additional family gatherings. To me, personally, I'm not just privileged to be his brother or for him to be my mentor, but also to know that he's just a great athlete in general. No matter what he sets his mind to, this man loves sports, he loves athletics, and he's exceptional. And now my family can officially call him, what we already know about him, a true Hall of Famer.
Well, that's pretty emotional, and I'm going to make this really brief, so I'm just going to read from this to try to make it through this. I want to thank my brother Sean for presenting me tonight. Also thank the rest of my family, my mom, brothers, sister, sister-in-law, nephew, children, and grandchild, for their support and taking the time to share this special moment with me. Thank the LVTI Alumni Association and congratulate my fellow inductees. This time of year has always had a special meaning in our family. My dad recently passed. He was a horseman, and to receive this honor on the day of the Kentucky Derby is extra special. It was always one of his favorite days. I respectfully thank you for this honor.
I think that's the first thing he ever dropped. Congratulations, Don. The next recipient is a classmate of mine and a friend, Mr. Marc Archer. And he will be presented by Judith Josephs.
Marc E. Archer. Remember the name. He's from a family of 10 children, and many of that family is here tonight. Marc started, I've known Marc for close to 37 years. 37 years as the co-op educational counselor at Lynn Tech High School. Marc started his career as in a four-year apprenticeship program with the Plumbers Union Local 12 with Jack Vandell. I put him on co-op at Northeastern University in the facilities department. He was with Hackett Plumbing, and also he worked for John J. Sullivan at Northeastern University. He became a master plumber and gas fitter and the owner of Archer Plumbing and Heating. And then he proceeded after that. He proceeded after that to work as a state police officer for 20 years. For 20 years, he was a state police officer in the Division of Field Services and Investigative Services, conducting narcotics investigation and patrolled the state roads. But that wasn't enough. Marc Weekends went to Springfield College and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice. The State Police Association stated outstanding work in his 20 years in the Department of State Police. He did outstanding work in curbing the drug trade, developing programs to reduce recidivism, and as an outstanding leader in his field. Again, going weekends to Springfield College. And even that was not enough. Mark E. Archer went nights to the New England College of Law and earned his J.D. degree, again, always with a full-time job, either as a plumber or as a state police officer. He earned his law degree and is now, of course, the law offices of Mark E. Archer. The law offices in Burlington. Remember the name. Mark is married. Mark is married to Mary Archer for 36 years. He has 2 children. One, Michelle, is the administrator assistant to 4 deans at Suffolk University, and Marlon is currently still in college. His friend David Boyd says that this is a clean-cut kid, the boy next door, community-oriented, an absolute leader and role model for Lynn Tech students. I give you Mark Archer.
Can you tell she's kind of partial to me? It's like really briefly, I'd like to thank the association, the committee who voted for me to be inducted tonight. I am very honored to be now among the Hall of Famers for Lynn Tech. Once a Lynn Tech Tiger, always a Lynn Tech Tiger. Thank my family, my friends, my wonderful wife Mary for being here. I'd like to thank Mel Griffa for keeping the class of 1980 in line. And I especially want to thank Professor Judith Josephs. Without her, not only would I not be here, I would not be the man that I am today, because she really did take a vested interest in my career when I was just a young guy at Lynn Tech. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Mark. The next recipient is Marc Richards, and he'll be presented by Mr. Richard Arconi.
Good evening, and congratulations to all the inductees. I see a lot of former students here. I go back a little bit myself, talking back to the 1960s. Joe, Fausto, Bob, so probably half of you here in class. At any rate, I'm here to introduce one of my outstanding students, Marc Richards. And I think over the years, 41 years at Tech, probably thousands of students have crossed my threshold in class, and if I had to pick a top 5, Marc Richards would certainly be in that category. Straight A student. Marc was in the electrical program for 3 years, participated in many extracurricular activities. He was the captain of the swimming team, captain of the soccer team. And upon graduating, Marc joined the United States Air Force, becoming a survival, evasion, resistance, and escape specialist. His accomplishments are too numerous to mention, but if you look at his bio in the brochure, I'm sure you'll be impressed. I'm sure his parents and family are very proud of him, as we are at Lynn Tech. So would you please give a round of applause to Marc Richards. Master Sergeant Marc Richards, Superintendent of the United States Air Force Arctic Survival School at Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska. And if you see all the medals, if Donald Trump has any kind of connection to this affair tonight, I know there's a couple of openings on his cabinet, and he loves military men, and Marc will be an excellent candidate.
So hopefully you guys can understand me. I've been out of Lynn for about 18 years, so I actually watched YouTube a lot yesterday trying to get the Boston accent back. But what an honor to be up here tonight. The other inductees, wow, I tell you what, it certainly is an honor. Marc Archer, I remember your name. But honestly, though, I actually started out at Lynn English my freshman year, and I had to go behind my parents' back and convince my uncle to actually say a few good words to me for Mr. Malagriffa, who now calls me at 4 a.m. in the morning, Alaska time. So my wife, hopefully, my wife said, please stop calling. But my uncle made a few good words to Mr. Malagriffa, my uncle Kevin Woodbury, back there, another graduate from Lynn Tech. And next thing you know, I spent the last 3 years of my high school career at Lynn Tech. Chris Baropoulos, Eddie Vega, a couple of my friends that are here tonight made some great impact on my life during high school, and definitely helped me out of my stepping stone. Chuck Fitzpatrick, another lifelong friend here. It's been a long time since I've been gone from, like I said, from Massachusetts, but it's great to be back. It's great to be here amongst all of you, the other inductees. Alumni, thank you very much. Hope I didn't forget anybody else, but I know I have a whole football team that needs to talk, so I'm going to step aside now. Thank you.
I think his accent's pretty good. The next member of our Hall of Fame is Ebony White. And she will be presented by Mr. Jim Ridley.
Thank you, Captain. Chief. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. My name is Jim Ridley. I am a proud alumnus and graduate of Lynn Trade High School. When you have a trade, you have it. When you have a trade, you have it. That's right. Never forget that. Even though a lot of us did not follow our trade, the things that we learned at the trade/tech school are things that we carry on right now for the rest of our lives. Ebony White. As a student athlete at Lynn Tech, class of 2001, Ebony was a student in the distributive education program and captain of the girls' varsity basketball team. Throughout her high school years, she was determined to excel in the classroom as well as land an opportunity to get recruited for basketball. Ebony always had a dream of playing on a collegiate level and could not thank John Crowley and Marvin Avery enough for believing in her and seeing something special in her that helped motivate her to be the woman she is today. In 2001, Ebony had a chance to put her dreams into action and was accepted into Newberry College, where she studied communications and played on the Newberry Nighthawks women's basketball team. Attending Newberry was one of the best experiences of Ebony's life. Ebony graduated Newberry in 2006. Ebony has a son, Jason, age 9, and a daughter, Jordan, age 7. And as Ebony told me, her children and family are her world. Ebony has a career in human services and is employed by a great agency called Centerboard for the last 10 years, where she serves as director with at-youth risk and families in need of services. No matter what she has accomplished this far, she never forgets where she came from. Because once a tiger, always a tiger. Centerboard has also given her an opportunity to continue her education, and she was recently accepted into the master's program at Suffolk University. She will be studying public administration. Please welcome Ebony White.
Oh boy, where to start? Lynn Tech was definitely my home. I remember going in as a freshman. I didn't know what to expect, but one thing I know is that I had a family there, from teachers to my sister, to all my friends, and to the women's basketball team. I wouldn't have it any other way. As time went on, I felt like I can just walk through the halls. I can say, never had detention, never was suspended. I can brag about that. I was actually too scared. I remember senior skip day, and I'm like, I'm not going. Have fun, see you in the classroom. But this journey has definitely been amazing. I could not imagine being here today. When I got the call from John Crowley, who was a mentor, a great coach, Mr. Ridley, Coach Avery. These are just all the people who have definitely rallied around me growing up. Basketball was my everything. It was my happiness, it was my sadness. Whenever I felt sad, felt down, I picked up that basketball. And that basketball got me to Newberry College, where I played 4 years there. I played AAU for Mr. Ridley and Coach Avery. And now I am a mother of two who are pushing my kids to play basketball. Tell my daughter, I'm like, don't you want to be like your mom? She's like, can I wear sandals? No, you cannot. But I'm still working on her. But we're there. Right now, my career, I work at an agency called Centerboard. I work with at-risk youth in the city of Lynn. I always tell people, no one cares about these kids, who will? They're my everything I do, every family that I serve. Everyone says, how do you know if a family's successful? And I always tell them, when they walk in and they ask for help, that's a success. So I just continue that. Right now I am studying at Suffolk, where I will be receiving my master's in public administration. Hopefully one day, my goal is to open my own nonprofit for youth who have a parent incarcerated. That's my goal. That's something, I'm going to say it here because it's going to happen. So I'm going to talk it into existence. But again, I appreciate my family in the back. Say hi, guys. My mom, my sisters, my uncles, aunts, my best friend. I just appreciate all of you guys. They say it does take a village, and that's about it. But thank you all. I had a great time. Thanks.
Never got detention. Even I got detention. And you know what it was for? Trying to skip school. I can remember, I hear his voice constantly. Mr. McMahon is saying to me, once detected, always suspected. So I guess we have a special presentation of awards with Mike Pickering and Mr. Malgriffa. Please come forward.
Back again. Not back down the river. We had a nasty thing happen to Lynn Tech somewhere along the line. With all the administrative changes, someone came in with a shotgun and started shooting down shops, closing different shops in the school. Came time, they shut the machine shop, which was the blood of the whole, not sure. We had, right now I can name 10 shops that either were run of superintendents work, all graduated Lynn Tech machine shops. They shut it. They had the machines tucked in the corner of the shell as cast iron. We had 3 men and a school committee person, Mr. Stafford, who rolled up their sleeves and took on the establishment. They met with Kathy Latham, they met with the school committee, they got fluffed off a couple of times. One particular individual, I'll point him out later, lost his temper with us. And I'm looking at him now, and he kind of gave it to her pretty good. So the 3 people then went out, got the school committee with Mr. Starboard's help. They rented a bus. They paid for the bus. The alumni paid for the bus to escort the people from Lynn Tech to visit machine shops. So for some reason, the administration wasn't too hip on that either. And some of them didn't show up and so forth and so forth. But they did take the trip. And they did make a DVD of all the programs they saw. Based on that, and with all the support of the alumni and future Hall of Famers that are here, please support the school. They and Mr. Bontempo, they reinstituted the machine shop. They even recommended the teacher here, Mr. Pickering, because they figure nothing is successful unless you have a teacher that bleeds Lynn Tech. And he bled Lynn Tech. He's a Tech graduate. And the machine shop right now is running. We have the A-team running. I think there were 30 some odd people on the A-team. And we had a young lady here, but she had to go home early, a senior who's graduating from that program this year. At this point, I'd like Mr. Pickering to say a few words and introduce these people.
Thanks, pal. I'm going to make this short and sweet because I know you guys have been listening to people talk all night long. Mike Alacunas and Ron Noel and Ron Beckett, who I'm sorry couldn't make it tonight. He wasn't feeling well. Could you guys, are you here? Yeah. You're here? Come on down. Ron's not here. Ron called me this morning. He's not feeling well, so he couldn't make it, unfortunately. But Mike, Ron, and Ron were the big voices, and they're the guys that stepped up and said. I was actually hired in 2008 by Jim Ridley, and Dr. Latham came in the middle of the year and said, we're going to close your program, and they let me go. And I got a nice phone call from Diane Paradis in 2012. She said she wanted to reopen the program. I said, you're going to lay me off at the end of the year? And she said, no, I'll give you 4. And 4 years later, we've got first graduating seniors were last year. One of our seniors is working at Gillette right now. He was the top candidate for the state for the Gillette Apprentice Program, which is a pretty prestigious program. We have 8 juniors and 4 seniors out on co-op right now, so the program is really grown. We've got almost $500,000 worth of equipment to revamp the program in the last 3 years. A new teacher, Mike Leone, who couldn't be here tonight. And the program's doing really well. We've got 15 freshmen coming into the program this year. And if it wasn't for these gentlemen right here, let me say thank you so much. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be standing here, and these kids wouldn't get the opportunity that they're getting. This trade is on fire right now, and Jeff Crosby, Jay Walsh over there in the corner. Jeff, did I get the name on? Pete Gafano. My brain's lost, Pete. I apologize. And Jay Walsh over there. These guys have been fighting with us all along. Tony Dunn, who couldn't be here tonight, with the E-Team, who runs our E-Team program. It's a night program at the Lynn Tech. It's an amazing program, and I know I'm talking too much, so I'm going to walk away from the microphone. But I just want to say thank you to these gentlemen. Thank you to Mr. Bontempo for supporting our program, and to Diane, who's not here, for getting us going in the first place. Thank you, guys.
I am not much of a speaker, so I won't take up too much of your time, but there were a lot of numerous unnamed people who helped along the way. Mike and I and Ron Beckett kind of led the charge, but we had quite an army behind us. I would just like to say to graduates of the school, the inductees tonight, it's your time to help polish the jewel that is Lynn Tech. Thank you.
I'm short on words too, but I tell you, this school is, we've been on the alumni since it started. Mr. Malagriffa came up in 1988 and said, you know, we're going to get an alumni going for this school. Would you guys be interested? And he asked about 8 of us, 10 of us at the time, and we all said yes, and that was in 1988. And the alumni now is 29 years old. But this school is just, the machine shop, I graduated from the machine shop, Ron did, he has his own business. I worked for a company that we had the kids co-op for like 30 years, and all of a sudden they wanted to close this down. Well, make a long story short, every machine shop today is screaming for help. These kids have got a great opportunity. If they graduate, seniors, and they graduate well, they're almost guaranteed a job. They're finding out that General Electric companies now finding out, oh, we need people. We got so many people retiring. There's nobody to take these jobs. So this is a great school. I love it.
Congratulations, gentlemen, and thank you for all your efforts with Lynn Tech. Appreciate it. Our next inductee is Mr. Darren Cyr. Someone I've known for quite a while and respected greatly. And his presenter will be Mr. Wonderful, Paul Floyd.
Where's Mel? Right over there. Never liked you. I'd like to thank the members of the Billboard Music Awards. Holy shit. No, that's next week. Now keep it quiet or I'm going home. God knows I gotta pee. First time I saw Darren, his mother brought him to my parents' house on Hillside Avenue, showing them her new baby boy. That day I actually held him in my arms. I know it cringes when I say that, but it's true. My parents loved Judy. Judy loved my parents. In fact, Judy is godmother to my brother Dennis. She's learned to tolerate me. No, I meant that. I watched him grow up through elementary school and the whole deal, all the way to tech. Plenty of excitement, dynamite waiting to go off. And he was just something that was filled with charisma, which he probably got from the time I held him. When he was 17, when he was 17, we climbed Mount Washington together. Well, he climbed Mount Washington. I was carried up, but we still got to the top together. And from that time on, over the years, I've watched him climb one mountain after another. He's a successful businessman. He's director of special services out of the mayor's office. He's an asset protective manager out of the Massachusetts State Lottery. And he's a politician. Oh my God, somebody said that at Fenway Park the other day and it started out right. I get a kick out of people just starting out in office. And they always go, oh, I'm not a politician, I'm just a regular guy. I eat pizza and drink beer and play golf. That ain't Darren. That's not him at all. You see, he's always considered being a politician a job. And he does it well. And it's one of the things I admire the most about him. He didn't get in it for prestige. He didn't do it for power. He did it to help the citizens of Ward 3 and the people of Lynn. That's where his heart really was. Now, sometimes I get a little upset, but it's true. He was a true disciple of tech. He learned skills there, how to use his hands, his brain. He had more common sense than just about anybody I know. And with those skills, and the help of his father, Dave, who was a former city councilor, a great man, God rest his soul. His very talented brother, just as good, and it could fix anything. And together, he built the house he lives in today. Now, we all know a house is not a home without family. Now, what a family he has. A loving and caring mother, a wonderful brother who was there for him and vice versa. And then there's Sue. I call her an angel because she put up with them while they were growing up. But that's neither here or there either. What I want to tell you is she's so shy, I don't know how to, he has an extremely intelligent and beautiful wife, Dale. He has two wonderful sons, very handsome sons, Christian and Killian. And they're gentlemen. And gentlemen in the true sense of the word, because that's the way they were brought up. To love, respect, and appreciate all that encumbers them. I'm actually not hesitating for a fact. As you can see, I am having trouble breathing, but that's because of all the other great speakers tonight. There's one thing, on a personal note. See, you all thought I was going to be funny, but where I've been and where I'm coming from, it's a different life for me now. And you got to remember the little things. I've had 2 heart attacks, and Darren has beaten the ambulance to my house both times, and he stood beside me until I was well. Now these arms that held him as a baby are there to hold him now and to support him in any future endeavor he has. There's someone else being honored here tonight, and that's me, because I have the honor of introducing to you someone that I love, respect, and I'm so damn proud of. When he first ran for office, we called him the young warrior from Ward 3. He's a man who truly loves America and loves his city. And I call him a political pioneer. Don't tell anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Lynn City Council President, Darren Cyr.
I'm going to be real brief. This is more for my mom than it is for me. Thank you. Go Lynn Tech.
Best speech of the night.
I can't close it, Jay.
Our next Hall of Fame inductee is another gentleman I've known for a long time, come to respect, call him a friend, Mr. Marvin Avery. And he will be presented by Javon Holland.
I just want to start off by congratulating all the Hall of Fame inductees this year, especially my cousin Ebony White, Coach Barton, Coach Avery. Wow. When you think about Coach Avery coaching, a lot of words come to mind. A lot of good, probably some bad. I know I had a few bad ones. But in the long run, you learn to appreciate everything he's done for you. Even without knowing, he's still teaching me to this day. We can run off the numbers. We can run off the 12 Commonwealth Athletic Conference championships, the 4 Division III North championships, the 3 Eastern Mass championships, the 1 state championship that I was a part of. Just had to put that out there. But 3 words always come to mind when I think of Coach Avery. You never know. As simple as those words are, they still live true to this day. You know, I can remember being in distributive ed class, you know, Miss McKenney's. You hear that door open, you turn around, you don't see no one. You think you're hanging out, teacher not paying attention, you're talking to your friends. Hey Jay, you never know. See you at practice. And he said it with a smile, so he's just like, man, this man's a little lunatic, man. I know I'm about to be running in this field house. But as I mentioned, like to this day, like Coach Avery has instilled a work ethic that, as you guys can see, still goes on to this day. He started off as a plumbing trade himself, worked for the city for a while, coached for 16 seasons. Now he's in Salem, the courthouse, the bailiff there. If you guys ever watched Night Court, it's based on him. You know? Love you, Coach. But it's just, Coach Avery is just so infectious with every mannerism, every word, every action. I never thought I could learn from someone who did a split during the game on the sideline. But he was just that passionate about the game. You know, to this day, I still make mistakes and I clap twice and people look at me like I'm crazy, like, what is wrong with you? And that's from Coach Avery. He always let me know that no matter what happens, you have to be ready. People can criticize him for his substitutions and how he goes about it. But when you apply that to real life, you never know when your number's going to be called. You always have to be ready. That's why it's a great honor and a privilege to induct not only my coach, my friend, Marvin Avery.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the Alumni Association for having me up here for the second time. In 2012, my basketball team was inducted, and I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. First, I want to start off by saying I'm going to recap on what Ebony White said. I was in detention, I was suspended, but it made me a better person. I'm never going to forget where I come from. City of Lynn guy, always been there. Just because I'm working in Salem, I'm still a Lynn guy. Once a Lynn guy, always a Lynn guy. My mentor, when my father's deceased right now, I can't give enough credit to the gentleman that made me today, that made me go to Lynn Tech. He encouraged me to go separate from my brother from the other public schools. Can you stand up, Mr. Jim Ridley? And I guess my other mentor chose to sit next to me. Oh, he knew I was coming to the podium. Mr. Buzzy Barton, stand up, please. Those are my two fathers today. It's been a long journey for me. I came from hard streets of Lynn, 4 brothers, a sister. It was difficult for me. I fought through a lot of adversity. I got in a house fire when I was 1 year old. I'm not saying I was a saint growing up, but I figured out how it worked from left and right. I made something out of myself. I went on to Lynn Tech. I graduated in '85. I graduated from Hester College. I got my associates. Then as I was coming home, my dad passed, and I had a passion for coaching. And I started off at St. Mary's Junior High School, and Mr. Ridley didn't like that at the time, and he brought me over to JVs. And then at the time, I had a wonderful respect for my principal and his wife that's here today, Diana and Bart Conlon. Gave me the opportunity to where I am today. Only one fortunate thing, I jumped on the fleets of the table, but Bart saved me and I got to coach the championship game, and here it is today. It speaks for itself. I still wear this ring. I know there's many other names and people out there that I can't think of and forget, otherwise I'll be up here all night long, and they don't want that happening. I'd like to thank Frank Carey out there, he's my football coach, and Mr. Saberka. But on behalf of my family and everyone, I'd like to thank the Alumni Association. Thank you very much.
All right, I have another directive from Mr. Malagriffa. Will all Hall of Fame members please stand up and be recognized? Anyone who's in the Hall of Fame, stand up, please. Thank you. The next recipient is Mr. Donald McKenney. And he'll be presented by Mr. Charlie Rowe.
Thank you, Chief McGarry. I can tell everybody now, I know the Chief of Police. That was my highlight, okay? I didn't realize this was going to be such a funny evening. Everything I have is serious. So, to Mr. Paul Floyd, I remember when I joined the Knights of Columbus, he was there, and he was great then, and he's just as great now. So, anyway. The next Hall of Fame inductee is a former swimmer and diver. He is a former city and Lynn Tech record holder, and he's also a part of the 200 freestyle relay team that still holds 25-year-old Lynn Tech school record. He was a captain, an all-star, he was a city and conference diving champ, and he qualified for both the sectional and state meets. He's a former diving coach for the Massachusetts Bay State Games at Harvard University, and he currently, and for the past 16 years, has been the diving coach for Lynn Tech, Lynn Classical, and Lynn English. He has coached over 20 all-star divers, 24 sectional and state qualifiers, 12 conference champions. 5 of his divers have gone on to compete at the college level. He helped Lynn Classical boys to 3 NEC titles. He also helped Lynn Tech to 4 straight city championships, 2 CAC small division championships, the 2009 Undefeated small division season, and the 2012 boys state vocational champions. In 2017, only last month, the Eastern Mass Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association named him the Winter North Diving Coach of the Year. In 2016, he was the Diving Awards Chairman at the MIA State Meet at Boston University. In 2013, he was given the NEC Elmo Benedetto Assistant Coach of the Year Award. And in 2002, the McKenney Award was established by Eastern Mass swim official Mary Ann Murray, who was seated at our table. And the award is given to the most improved diver every year in the city of Lynn. As a coach, Donnie's always stressed hard work and dedication, but he also builds confidence and self-esteem in all his divers. He also instills the most important element of all high school athletics, academics, helping all 3 Lynn teams earn the MIAA Academic Excellence Award this year. First time all 3 schools ever got it, and he was a big part of that. I've seen him on deck. He's a patient teacher of the sport. He's a technician. He uses video technology, dry land training, you name it, he knows it all. He has a passion for the students and a passion for diving like no one else I've ever seen. And above all else, I think it was during Christmas practices, and we got in there early, so we started the divers. They were all doing their warm-ups. They do their swim warm-ups first with all the other swimmers, and then they started to, warm up to do their dive routines. And it was pretty quiet, and all of a sudden the door opened, and Donnie came in. And for 1 second, I looked at Coach Denise, I goes, look at, the kids turned, and their faces all lit up. It looked like 3 little kids, and Santa Claus just walked in the room. And it just was confirmed what we all knew, that Donnie makes a difference in their lives. And they look at all of us, yeah, we're coaches too, but when they look at him, that's their diving coach, and he really has made a difference, and we all love him, and we know that the kids all love him. So please join me in welcoming one of the finest men that I've ever known, and certainly one of the finest diving coaches in Eastern Mass, from the class of 1992 at Lynn Tech, Coach Don McKenney.
Thank you, everyone, for that terrific welcome and introduction, Charlie. I'm honored to be a part of and to congratulate the induction class of 2017. It's quite a class, a lot of laughs, and I'm falling in love with these guys already. I'd like to recognize my team over here, my swim family, my actual family, some of my best friends. It's so important to only recruit onto your team people with positive influence and optimism, and I can't stress that enough. I'd like to thank the Alumni Association, Bob Bontempo, who was my auto body shop teacher. I think it was his first year when I came through Lynn Tech. Mr. Malagrifa, thank you as well. A lot of people have gone short. I apologize in advance. My words might take a little longer. I also want to thank my girlfriend Sarah for not just putting up with my dedication to coaching, but also applauding and encouraging it. She's helped me through many sectionals and state meets, as well as the rest of the season. I'd like to thank all my high school coaches. Coach Brad Tilley, thank you for instilling the motivation to pursue and achieve greatness as a student athlete, as well as to persevere through any hardships. Our teams didn't always have great depth or big numbers as far as total team size was concerned, but that never stopped us from competing to be. Thank you again, Jim. Competing to be number one. In fact, one meet springs to mind where our team competed and won every single event in a swim meet. But due to the structure of a swim meet, our competitors accumulated more points because of their second, third, and fourth place finishes. That meet resulted in a loss on scoreboard that day, but to this day, always is a win in my mind as a life lesson. Coach Charlie Rowe that introduced me. He was an assistant for Lynn Tech back then and still works with Lynn Classical now. I admire him greatly. Thank you. Always helping to steady a nervous and unsure athlete during the very stressful times of a diving event, and constantly being vigilant to always make sure each member of our team knew which events they were swimming, and to always get us to the blocks in time for our events, as well as sharing the current and past culture of local swimmers on our pool's record board, as well as Olympic and all-time greats, to keep our minds focused and dedicated as we practiced and competed proudly for our team. Coach John Hogan, who couldn't make it tonight, for constantly hounding each and every one of us swimmers from one end of that pool to the other, squeezing every ounce of potential from our tired and drained muscles to make sure we were at our peaks when it came time to compete. Coach Denise Silva for spending countless hours of what must have been a nerve-wracking and stress-filled practices trying over and over to teach the graceful art of diving to what was a less than graceful, albeit very thankful apprentice to the sport that captured a huge part of my heart that still to this day occupies a lot of real estate in the heart that beats in my chest. Now on to the main reason I am proud to be a Lynn Tech Tiger. Shortly after graduation, in my high school swimming days, I endured a gut-wrenching and life-altering accident that would confine me to this wheelchair to this very day. I spent months upon months in different hospitals and rehabs, recovering and preparing for what would be a completely different life than the type an average high school kid hopes for. Depression locked onto my mind like an alligator locks onto an unsuspecting midday snack, and shredded my mind like that very same gator's death roll. When I finished my long and difficult rehab, I was grateful to come home to my house and family, because the alternative would be something like a nursing home. But with terrific family I have, they wouldn't let that happen. With some rearrangements and modifications, they made it possible for me to return to my home. I was fortunate to receive medical care from nurses and home health aides once I returned home, but I still couldn't help to fall deeper into my depression, becoming unforgivably lazy and contracting pneumonia on top of all my troubles. The people around me recognized that I was in dire straits and sprang into action. My family and healthcare workers teamed up and organized many fundraisers that they contacted my old high school. And let me tell you, Lynn Tech came through in a big way for me. With the money was raised, Lynn Tech not only agreed, but enthusiastically sent out teachers along with dozens and dozens of students from multiple shops to help this wounded fellow tiger. Through their coordinated efforts, a completely accessible addition was built on my father's house that I live and thrive in and appreciate to this very day. The completion of that structure broke me out of any lingering depression and gave me independence back to my life. Thank you to Mal and all the teachers involved in that great undertaking. Now that I was able to get around on my own, I found myself visiting the pool at Tech frequently and reminiscing over old times with my former coaches. Being there gave me a sense of normalcy I hadn't felt since before my accident. They recognized that and allowed me to give tips to the students that were there learning to dive. The acceptance of my former coaches then caused another great change in my life when they brought me on board to coach all the divers of each of the 3 public high schools in Lynn: Lynn Tech, Lynn Classical, and Lynn English. My former coaches were now my co-coaches, and I took great pride in joining their ranks. Charlie, who introduced me before I came up here to talk and told you about some of the achievements of some of the fantastic student athletes I've coached over the years. All of that stemmed from the motivation and optimism of my swim family. All my former coaches that I now coach alongside who have given me great memories and great moments through the years and give me the pride I have to be a coach. Last and mostly, I want to thank my dad. Through his lifelong, through his lifelong support and dedication to his family is how all this I've shared with you today has become possible. I love you, Dad. Thank you for being here tonight. That's my story, and that's why I'm proud. That's why I'm proud to be a Lynn Tech Tiger. Thank you to everyone involved in the induction process, and I'm honored to be part of the class of 2017.
Our next recipient is Mr. David Hamilton, and he is going to be presented by Mr. Paul Hughes.
Good evening. I have 3 pages of single-space accolades of Dave Hamilton's career. Fortunately, when I got here, I realized they put them in the program. So for me and you can read them at your leisure later in the program. There's only one paragraph at the end that I'd like to read when I get there. But this frees me up to give you an idea of what I personally think has made Dave Hamilton so successful over all these years. Dave, for all the accomplishments he's had, he always gave credit to somebody else when he did it. We graduated in 1975. Dave was vice president of our class, plumbing class, highest graduate. He was also selected as the first guy from Lynn Tech to be selected as Mr. Lynn High School. We'd say, Dave, that's great. And he'd say, well, the only reason I did that was because of Mr. Lou Fresco, who was our plumbing-related instructor, and he said his encouragement, his dedication to him, his motivation for him is what made him do what he did. In 1975, there weren't many plumbing jobs around. Dave said, well, I guess I'll go to college. So Dave went to St. Anselm's College, graduated in 1980, highest honors, top 10 of his class, and he decides, so when we go to him and we say, hey, Dave, you did great. That's awesome. He said, well, I could have never done that if it wasn't for Mr. McGinnis and Mr. Palumbo, 2 legends of Lynn Public Schools. Again, it was the credit he gave both those guys that was impressive. Dave's career after that, he got into computers early on before people really realized what computers could do. And he got into computers relating to medical records, and his career took off. He worked with some of the biggest companies in the world, Xerox, Siemens, and to sum up his career, he ended up president of a division with over $1 billion worth of revenue and 6,000 employees worldwide. Canada, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, you name it, he was all over the world. Also, 30 different states that handled Medicaid records for the least, the people who needed help the most. And again, Dave gave all the credit to other people during this time. Finally, the most important part of what Dave did, all that being said, Dave's greatest success in life was convincing a beautiful girl at Mayflower Market to become his better half. Dave always said Andrea is the hardest working partner in his family, and only through her love and unselfishness could he have achieved his professional success. They are blessed with 4 great children, David, Andrew, Bridget, and Elise. Daughter-in-law Lisa, who with the son David provided Dave and Andrea with the first grandchild, Natalie Hamilton. Dave always carried himself with a quiet, humble confidence of a man determined that was destined to succeed. To Mike Imperial, Mark Taylor, and myself, Dave's been a loyal friend with a great sense of humor all these years. On behalf of the plumbing class of 1975, I'd like to welcome Dave Hamilton into the Lynn Tech Hall of Fame.
So good evening. I'll make this somewhere in the middle. I've got really a number of people to thank. My family, certainly, the Hall of Fame committee, the Alumni Association. Just so grateful for the recognition. Like the Master Sergeant, I've actually been probably away from the city. I am a multiple million-mile flyer. I have been all over the world and probably missed a number of those anniversaries and birthdays, etc., as some of my earlier colleagues have. But a couple of just quick touch points about my connection to Lynn Tech that I smile about all the time. And Paul mentioned Lou Fresco. It might have been a little bit different, Paul, but Lou was someone who sort of grabbed me by the scruff of the neck, and I think about that as what you should be. And Lou said to me, "You should be better. You should do this. You should do more. You should be a better guy." I might have had a detention or two, Mal, not too many. So what you should be is something to think about. What you can be is something that I actually give Mal credit for. I moved from Lynn to Swampscott, and I would drag occasionally my 2 sons across the street to help an elderly set of sisters who called me one night in a blizzard and didn't have power. So of course I go trudging across the street, can do absolutely nothing for them. I'm about to call my wife and have her get our house ready to take these 2 elderly women over when they remind themselves, "Oh, we think we know an electrician. The snow is coming down, the wind is whipping." I'm thinking there is not an electrician in the universe who's coming out tonight. About 20 minutes later, this car pulls up. And this guy with a big snorkel coat, remember those? Real fashion statement. Over his head, trudges through probably 1.5 feet of snow, and it's Mel. And what I get to know is these 2 women. One was the widow of a fellow that he worked with at GE more than 20 years ago. Mal had long since paid his debt, and in the middle of a blizzard, these women called him, and he came. And now, he could deal with the electrical stuff. The plumber could not. So that's what you can be. I just applaud Mal and all of you and all of us to aspire to remember and to be that person for someone in need. And then the third thing is really, and I give compliments to Mark and Mike and Paul about who you are. And we're very, very lucky, and I thank them really all the time in conversation. And when we get together, you'll see it in the program, just for a couple of hours every year, we're all 18 again, and that's a pretty special thing. So thank you, fellows, and thank you to everybody tonight.
Our next inductee is another gentleman I've known for many years, Mr. Al Donovan. And Al is going to be presented by his son, who played hockey for me.
Tyler. How are you, Tyler?
Steve, thank you, Mr. McGee. Wow. Good evening, everyone. I was honored when asked to say a few words about my dad. There's a lot of stuff I could say about my dad, but I'll just touch base on a few of his attributes. Not only was he a tremendous athlete, but he has also grown into an impeccable man and father. He's one of the funniest guys I know, and no matter what type of mood I'm in, he never fails to make me laugh. Two things about my dad that I truly love are his character and his determination. He is always willing to lend a helping hand to other people, and I admire him for that. My dad also has an incredible work ethic. Without all of the hard work and time that he has put in, he would not be able to receive this award. I would like to touch base on a few of his achievements over the years. He left Lynn Tech with a 23-3 career record on the mound, 3-time Commonwealth Conference All-Star, 1984 Conference MVP, 1984 Massachusetts High School All-Star, 1985 Division I Southern Conference All-Star, 1988 Division I All-New England Pitcher, 2007 North Shore Baseball League Hall of Fame, 2015 National Semi-Pro Baseball Hall of Fame, 2017 Salem State University Head Baseball Coach, and now 2017 Lynn Tech Hall of Fame. He is my biggest role model, and I don't know where I would be without him. I am truly honored to be his son, and I want to make him proud every moment I can. I know we bash heads a lot, but I will always love him no matter what. I am proud to be able to stand up here this evening and present my dad with this achievement, which I truly know he deserves. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my dad, Al Donovan.
Wow, I hope I can follow up with that. I was going to say, Ebony's not here right now, but I was going to tell Ebony I can vouch for Marvin Avery being in detention because I was right beside him. First, I'd like to thank the Alumni Association and the Hall of Fame Committee for a great evening. What a display. Unbelievable. You deserve a round of applause. First, I'd like to thank my son Tyler for the introduction and a great job. I'd also like to congratulate all the inductees and the Master of Ceremony, Mike McGee. Congratulations on your new job, Mike. There are a lot of people I need to thank that helped me along the way. First, I'd like to thank my family for all their support over the years. Couldn't have done it without you. My two sons, Connor and Tyler, who I've had the privilege of watching them both grow up as young, polite men. This is a direct reflect of my wife, who was the glue to our family and had to put up with me for 23 years. Someone told me a little while ago, there are two people in the house. There's one person that's always right, and then there's the husband. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you're going to be. My coaches. I can remember all my coaches from Little League to college. Two stick out immensely. Coach Conlon, Coach Marino. They had at Lynn Tech. They told me how to compete at a high level during practices. That which really got me situated for college, to understand how to compete at a high level every single practice to be the best you can. There's a coach here I played for, Coach Frank Carey, who's in the back. Coach Gary Severka, also in football. I used one of his quotes this year at Salem State. I finally picked my 32-man roster. My first conversation I have with him. We go 6 days a week, practice or game. If you miss practice, it's for two reasons. One, you quit, or two, you passed away. Thank you, Frank Carey. In closing, I'd like to thank Mr. Malagriffa for everything he's done for me. He's the one that nominated me. And yes, I was one of those kids who got slapped in the head a few times going down the corridor. Mel, my mother's here. She'll take you outside later. I want to thank everybody again for a great evening. Thank you.
Franklin, I didn't forget about you. The next recipient is Franklyn Sanchez, who will be presented by Mr. Paul Bucheri.
Good evening and congratulations to everyone. Franklin came out his first year for cross-country track, and he came out because he wanted to get in condition for baseball. What happened was he did a 2-mile run in 13 minutes. I don't know if many of you know much about running, which I thought was terrific. And I told him, I said that your legs are going to get you to college. And that's exactly what happened. His first race for Lynn Tech was at Greater Lawrence. He really didn't know how to run that well. He was 20th at the first mile, 10th at the second mile, 3rd place at the last mile coming in where he finished. The rest of his high school career at Lynn Tech, he never lost another race. 3 years running. He was #1. He was Boston Globe Athlete of the Year. I'm just going to read off a couple of his accomplishments. If you know who Alberto Salazar is, he broke Alberto Salazar's high school 2-mile record. He ran it in 8 minutes and 49 seconds. That was a 24-year-old record. So Franklin was accomplishing this as we were going along. He also broke, I don't know if you've seen the movie Prefontaine about the Olympian. Well, Franklin broke his 5,000-meter record. And that record held for 31 years. And Franklin still holds both of those records today. I'm going to just read a couple of more. He was All-State Champion in cross country, named the Boston Globe Runner of the Year. He was State Divisional Cross Country Champion. We went to the Foot Locker races down in Florida and Orlando, where he came in 13th. He was a state champion in the 2-mile indoors, as I said, breaking a 23-year-old record by Alberto Salazar. He was a national champion in the 2-mile National Scholastic Championship. He won the state championship in the 2-mile outdoors. He won the 2-mile at the prestigious Golden West Invitation in California. He had an undefeated regular season in cross country at Cushing's Academy, where he shattered all the course records. And in 2000, he went to the USA Junior National Cross Country Champions and qualified for the World Cross Country Championships in Portugal. He finished 3rd in the Big East. He ran a 4:02 mile in the 4-mile relay. Franklin is very accomplished. What it doesn't say in this resume is what a team person he was. When he finished his races, he came to the finish line and he waved on all his teammates and he shook their hands and he praised them. He carried the team. And I am very proud to present to you Franklyn Sanchez.
Good evening, everyone. Sir, thank you for not forgetting about me. I just want to apologize for my sunglasses. Don't want you to think that I'm living in my own little fantasy world and came over here thinking I'm some Papi Chulo or somebody like that. I just have a bad eye, so I wrote a little old school speech and I'm going to go ahead and read it real quick if you don't mind. I want to express my gratitude and Pickering Tech and all of the staff members for this award. I am truly grateful and honored. Specifically, I would like to thank the president of the Lynn Tech Hall of Fame, Mr. James Ward, the current Lynn Tech cross-country coach, John Hogan. I don't think he's here tonight. Marc Richards, who's everybody keeps talking about, and his troubles. Marc Richards is a great man, retired principal from Lynn Tech. I believe the year that I graduated from Lynn Tech. It's a great man. And the secretary of the Tech alumni, Diana Badger. Thank you for putting up with me, ma'am. You know, I still remember to this day when my coach and I would travel to big championship races. My coach and I would sleep in a twin queen size bedroom, and every time we would go to sleep, the night before a big race, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was nervous, not because I felt sick to my stomach, and not because I suffer from insomnia, but because my coach, Paul Pickering, to the left of me, behind the leader captain, he just would snore so loud that sometimes he himself would wake himself up from his loud snoring, yeah. So I still love you, Coach. Traveling with my coaches were most of my memorable moments. Coach McKenney, I want to thank you for helping me become the person that I am today. Thank you. Finally, I would like to thank Coach Gary Severka. Coach Severka, would you please stand up? Coach Severka, he taught me one of the characteristics that defines me today, to always carry the heart of a champion no matter the outcome. Thanks to my family and thank you everyone.
I forgot to mention one thing. On YouTube, if you go to YouTube and you put on the greatest high school race of the century, Powell and Sanchez will come up. In his race against Sanchez, he was almost a full lap behind coming down the finish line. It was just like the Patriots winning the Super Bowl this year. And I'm serious. If you can go on YouTube and look up greatest high school race of the century, you will really enjoy it.
Our final inductees is the 73 football team. And they will be presented by Mr. Frank Carey and Mr. Malagriffa.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to congratulate all of our Hall of Fame inductees, 5 of which I had an opportunity to coach in my 20 years of coaching football at Lynn Tech. I almost said North Reading, at Lynn Tech. And more specifically, I'd like to congratulate the 1973 undefeated Lynn Tech Tiger football team. It was truly a remarkable team. It gives me a great deal of pleasure and pride. Thank you, they deserve it. It gives me a great deal of pleasure and pride to speak on behalf of this team for the 2 architects of that team, and that was head coach Mike Carr and assistant coach Jimmy Brown. They're no longer with us. Although they were kind of dissimilar in styles, they complemented each other. One coached offense, that was Coach Carr, who was very conservative, and Coach Brown handled the defense, and sometimes he was very, he fantasized a lot with his defense, and he did a lot of unusual things. And also, we had a volunteer coach in our group, a gentleman named Mr. T.O. Connor. He was always quick to walk behind Coach Carr on offense and mutter out, "Throw the ball, Carr. Throw the ball, Carr." And then when we get on defense, he would say pretty much the same thing to Coach Brown and requested him to blitz a little bit more, Brownie. You got to start getting aggressive, Brownie. And we learned to kind of just shut T off after a while. And while I'm up here, I'd like to Chief McGee, with the statute of limitations up, I'll say this about Lynn Tech. Some of the players reminded me of this. When we first started at Tech, which is a beautiful school academically and athletically, we practiced on about 20 yards of frontage in front of the Lynn Tech field house. We didn't have a field to practice on. And what was noticeably in our way were 3 brand new sapling trees. And Coach Brown and I removed those trees from in front of the school. And now 40 years later, those things would be they'd be as high as Neptune Towers. So otherwise we would have, we ran a lot of pass patterns that landed on Neptune Boulevard. But getting back to, Coach Carr and Coach Brown. They were terrific coaches to work with. They, as I said, they complemented each other's style. One was conservative, one was very imaginative. I coached a lot of teams, both at Lynn Tech and also at my former high school, North Reading, and I can honestly say this about this particular group of young men. I enjoyed coming to practice every single day. I enjoyed working with them. I was a backfield coach on that team, and I loved coming to Lynn Tech. It was quite a transition from North Reading, suburban, all that stuff type school, and coming back to Lynn where I live with my boys, and it was quite an enjoyable experience. We had an outstanding team. They were outstanding. They were comprised of some of the best athletes in the city because of the attention of the facility as well as the academics. All the best kids in the middle schools came to Lynn Tech then. And our linemen, although I didn't deal much with the linemen, we backfield people, stay away from them. The linemen were fierce, they were big, they were strong, and they were really all tough kids. And as I look out here, they're senior citizens, some of them now. like their coach. But, you know, I just mentioned a few names, and I hope I don't miss everybody. Mike Tebow, Glenn Searles, Tom Savio. Oh, he wants to give you all the kids that are here. Well, I won't mention them all, but the linemen in that particular team were outstanding. And Frank Wolverton, who got inducted this evening, Armin Conti, as I mentioned, Tom Savio. I work with the backs. The backfield was a very, very talented group of kids. We had two quarterbacks, Jimmy O'Meara and Freddie Pastorino, for 3 years, alternated on every single play. They never, regardless of whether it's 3rd down and 20 or 1st down and 3, they alternated every play, and they'd come to the sideline. Coach Carr would say, okay, Freddie, we're going to run a 36 trap. By the time he got it out, Jimmy was running off the field, and Freddie had to get back out there to get into the huddle to call a play. It was like I think Franklyn would have had to run for his money with these guys, with all the running they did in the 3 years back and forth. But they were outstanding quarterbacks, and they were team leaders. We also had two phenomenal running backs, in Jimmy Franklyn and Mikey Wolf. They were tailbacks, and the tailbacks had these wonderful holes open by the two best fullbacks in the area, Brad Thomas and Scotty Hammerstrom, who I was sitting with this evening. They were outstanding. They were smash-mouth type football players. They were all for the team. They weren't interested in scoring touchdowns. All they wanted to do was knock people over. Well, that's a good thing. When we scrimmaged at the beginning of that season, we scrimmaged a team called Revere. And Revere, I didn't mean that to be funny. Well, anyways, we scrimmaged a team, Revere. Revere was a very good team. And we beat them up on that scrimmage. And Coach Silvio Cello remarked in the Lynn paper that he'd never seen a team as tough and as talented as the Lynn Tech Tigers. Revere went on to play in the first Super Bowl against Brockton High School. And trust me, we beat them up pretty good. And then along this infamous Swampskit game, which Mike Carr for 6 weeks was lambasting T. What the heck is wrong with you scheduling Swampskit? They're the juggernaut of the North Shore. They're the defending state championship. And T would just say, shut up, all that stuff. Oh, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. Well, it turns out, seriously, you know, a lot of people say you tied Swampskit. That's not the truth. The truth is Swampskit tied us. And we really played them hard and actually beat them till the very end of the game. They scored the tying touchdown, and ironically, we practiced the entire week. It kind of sounds a little bit like Coach Belichick with Malcolm Butler, but this is the truth. We practiced the whole week on blocking an extra point attempt. Mike Jerron had never missed an extra point in high school career. It was 6-6 game. It was down to the last minute or so of the game, and we performed that block with Brad Thomas and Eugene Anderson. We blocked that kick, preserving the tie, but I want everybody in this room to know we didn't tie Swampskit. They tied us. So with that, I'd like to introduce
Coach, he was a coach, Malagriffa.
This football team was the first class coming into Lynn Tech. This is when Lynn Trade moved to the new building on Commonwealth, on Sumner Street and Neptune Boulevard. So this was the class that, the first 10th, 11th, and grade 12 class that graduated from the school. And for them to do what they did, it was quite an accomplishment. So when they all come up, as I call them, Marvin Conlon, he was the point man in getting all these people together. Will Marvin come up here? Bob DeMars, Kevin Ward, Mr. Ward's brother. Glenn Searle, captain of this team. Don Savio. Thomas Camo. Jungle Jim O'Mara. Stephen Ross. Mike Ryan. Fearless Fred Pastorino. Ann Conti. Rick Ford. Frank Wolverton. Captain Mike Wolf. Randy Guy. Mike Tebow. And Ryan Tebow. Frank Wolverton. And if there's anyone that came in late that we didn't get their name, come on up, please.
Wow. Evening, everyone. If you go to Google and you Google the word team, something like a group of players forming one side of a competitive event will come up in Google. And it's pretty dry, it's pretty sedate. That's what a team is. That's not what a team is. I can tell you what a team is. In 1971, a group of young men, very young men, we were all a lot thinner than too. Some of us even had hair. But a group of young men showed up at Lynn Tech. We were going to be the first 3-year class to go through. And for the previous 2 years in junior high school, because there was no such thing as middle school back then, we had thumped the hell out of each other on the football field between Pickering, Eastern, and the other junior high schools, Breed. So we all knew each other pretty well. But when we came to Lynn Tech to play for Jimmy Brown and Coach Mike Carr, we came together as a team like nothing I had ever seen. And quite frankly, throughout my military and law enforcement career, I've never been a part of a tighter, more close-knit group of individuals as we were the 1973 football team. In our first year, we had to go from the new tech to the old trade, change at the old trade locker room, go up over the Highlands, and practice behind the English high school. And then we had to get back to the old trade, get to the buses, get home, and come back to school, do it all over again. Second year, in 1972, it got better because we got to practice on the Lynn Commons while we got to practice out in front of the high school. 1973, we were really feeling like we were big time because they had finally cleared the field behind the field house. But before every practice, we had to go online and we had to walk the field to take out pieces of auto parts that were in the ground, glass, you name it. And it wasn't unusual for one of us to come out of practice, cut up some kind of injury from whatever was still buried in the ground that we didn't find. The 1973 team was unique in that we were never behind in that season. We were never behind in any game until the very last game of the year when we played against the Northeastern Knights. And at halftime, we went into, I don't even remember what kind of a locker room it was. It wasn't all that great. But we went into the locker room down by 1 point. It was 8-7, I believe. There was not one individual in that locker room that thought for 1 minute that we were going to lose that game. Every one of us, we had known each other, played against each other in junior high school, and known each other for the 3 years of high school. We were probably the most well-oiled athletic machine in many, many years in the city of Lynn. We executed with precision. You know, from my perspective on the left side, Donnie and I was left tackle, Donnie was left guard. We knew each other exactly what we were going to do when we stepped up to the line. We didn't have to say anything. We looked at the defense in front of us. We executed, and we executed flawlessly. That happened on the right side of the offensive line. The running backs, when they would come through, would just destroy who was ever left in the hole. It was a thing of beauty to see. We were a very formidable opponent. And, you know, a lot of us wish we made it to the Super Bowl. It ended up that our Super Bowl was the Swampscott game. And from a player's perspective, that night, we punched them right in the mouth. They just didn't expect to get hit like we hit them. And we hit everybody that way all season long for the 3 years that we were there. This team is truly, it's like a bunch of brothers to me. And in closing, I'd just like to put out a question to you folks that are still here in the room. If you've ever seen that movie, Remember the Titans, I'm telling you, it brings tears to my eyes because these are the guys I think about when I see that movie. It's not Remember the Titans. It's Remember the Tigers because we were there a long time before that movie came out. I want to, on behalf of my teammates, I want to thank the Alumni Association for inducting us into the Hall of Fame. It's a great honor to be here. I'd also like to congratulate the other inductees. And I would be remiss if I stepped away from this podium and did not thank Coach Michael Carr, Coach Jim Brown, who are no longer with us, for giving tirelessly to the Lynn Tech Tigers. Coach Carey, who always had something very funny and amusing to say. Coach Nicholas Shalanti, who came on board, I think, our junior year, and taught a lot of us a lot of great technique football-wise. He had just come from AIC, I believe. And, of course, the coach who was above and beyond, Thomas O'Connor, T. O'Connor, for supporting the Lynn Tech Tiger. Always been proud to have been a Tiger my whole life, and this just makes it all the sweeter. So on behalf of my teammates, thank you very much, and have a great evening.